If it's knowledge, humour, or a different perspective that you seek, look for the wisdom in the words that we speak. Words and wisdom. We'll let you decide.
Welcome to Words and Wisdom Podcast, the podcast where we question the constraints of society's conditioning and hopefully give you tools and techniques to go away and deal with your trials and tribulations in life and maybe see things a little clearly.
And again, we're experts in not that much, but what we are experts in is the field of ourselves. And with that, we want to help you. So today, Zach, what have we got, mate?
Today, Mikey, we're going to be talking about true love, if it's a real thing, and how we can find it, how we can get there.
Mate, I'm finding it right now.
Are you feeling it?
It's in my heart.
Is it in your
burning.
heart? That's usually where love is.
To my stomach.
Don't you think
Hang on, stop where you are.
Don't you think it's interesting about... we'll get into... the little journey in a minute, but don't you think it's interesting, like how we associate love with the heart and the love heart, and where does that come from? Like, where does that stem from?
Do you have an answer for that?
A little bit.
Come on.
I think if you want the full detailed explanation, you want to go and to Greg Braden, find him on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, and he talks about how when we live from the heart, we resonate a certain frequency and a certain energy, and you can actually measure it with these like electromagnetic frequency things, and it's like a field from the heart. And I think there's also brain cells in the heart as such that link up with the brain cells in the brain that, like, you know, the mind heart coherence. Yeah, it's called brain heart coherence. And I think we think with the brain, but we feel more in the body. Everything's from the feelings are from the body. So I think it might stem from there.
I was going to say, I didn't know about the heart. I knew about the stomach and the gut brain because they communicate a lot. But the heart, that's a fascinating one.
Yeah.
And maybe it stimulates a different part of the brain as well.
Yeah.
That is just extrapolation now. I don't know if that's true.
It'd be interesting. It's interesting stuff, though.
That really is powerful.
So, yeah, we're talking about true love. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because over the last year, I found somebody that I can really say that I wholeheartedly love, like with all my heart.
I feel it, man. Feel it in you.
And the thing is, it's the same every time I see her. Like whereas before it wasn't. With other people, it would like die down, it would diminish, and I couldn't understand why. I thought there was something wrong with me, and I genuinely believed there was something wrong with me that needed to be addressed, which we'll talk about. But no, every time I see this person, it's the same. It's the same. It's there. I mean, some days I'm tired and you know, a bit bummed out, but I still love it and I can feel it. So, speaking about something being wrong with me, I think it stemmed from being a kid and not seeing a healthy side of love. My mum, she lost her dad when she was very young, and she was told not to feel. She was told not to cry. She said, there's no time for that. We're too busy to do that. So I think my mum was forced to lock her feelings and emotions away. So when she had a kid, myself, at the age of 19, you know, I wouldn't be able to have a kid at the age of 19 and fully love it. I didn't know how to love myself at 19. So that kind of passed on, and then my mum and my stepdad was married for around 20 years, and through those 20 years my stepdad, and I hold no grudges against him, you know, it was all part of the journey, and I respect everything that he did for me, but he actually cheated on my mum several times, and I saw and felt this as a kid. Like, I was very involved in what was going on. I remember one time there was an argument downstairs, and we found out that they split up, and this was the reason that they split up. Then a few years later, it was Christmas Eve. My mum picked up the phone, and there was a message from another woman. Christmas Eve, imagine that. We were told to, let's just live Christmas as if it's all right. And
wow.
So I didn't really know what love was, and I didn't love my stepdad. I appreciated everything he did for me, and I can feel love for him now, looking back, but I didn't love him, so I didn't really have any kind of idea what love was. So I ended up going into trying to find love through friendships. I wanted everybody to like me.
Yeah.
And then I used to get attached really quickly to people, thinking back. It's like, oh, she smiled at me, I love her. He smiled at me, I love him. I love everybody. But I didn't love myself. And I really didn't. I used to call myself fat, ugly. I used to put toxins in my body, like, you know, drugs, and just abuse myself.
That was sort of how you tried to make relationships with people.
I think so, but I also think it helped me to just escape reality and to feel something other than what I was feeling. It like gave me a glimpse of what love could potentially be, which was incorrect and wrong. Now, for years, I was unconscious for years. I was unconscious. I wasn't aware. I've done so much research into the mind and into psychology now that I understand why I couldn't achieve love. I mean, we could boil it down simply to the law of attraction. The law of attraction states that you don't get what you want in life, you get what you are. And I was a person that wanted to sleep with lots of women because I thought that was love. I was a person that wanted to take lots of drugs. I was a person that wanted to be popular and this, that, and everything. I was a person that wanted to be feared as well. I wanted people to fear me at one point. If you attract what you are, is that a healthy person to be in a relationship with?
Doesn't sound like a good recipe, mate.
It isn't, is it? And
No.
I always say to people, if you want a healthy relationship, you have to become the person you would want to date. And I ask people when they go, I can't find this, or I'm seeing lots of people and it never works out. I say, let's be honest with each other. Would you date you right now, given everything that you know about yourself? And they usually pause. They'll go, and it's usually followed with, well, no, not really. It's like, well, there you go. You've got to become the person you would want to date.
Dude, I am nicking that for people.
Yeah.
I've had people at the minute message me because, we do the podcast and do other podcasts and people here all the time. I've literally had people message and say, Mikey, can you hook us up with somebody? I just said, I don't think that's the best way of going about it. If you just get me to ping you into a message somewhere, it's a little bit saturated, it's a little bit contrived, and I don't think it's going to work very well for you.
Yeah.
But that what you just said then has blown apart my brain. I thought, how you're acting now, would you want to date that?
Yeah, you've got to become the person. And
awesome.
And it's hard to become that person. Like we spoke about on the podcast, it takes a lot of asking questions. Why can I not maintain a relationship? Stop blaming everybody else, saying, oh, he's a this and she's a that, and what is it that I can do to improve? Because you can't change anybody else. So even if they are X, Y, and Z, you can't change that. What you can change is yourself. How do I react to your said situation? How am I showing my love? Am I an aggressive lover? Am I, when they come and try to communicate with me, which we definitely talk about because that's an important factor, but when my spouse tries to communicate with me, how am I reacting? Am I going, oh, you shouldn't do that, blah, 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 which forces them to go into a shell and never communicate ever again? And we should be asking these questions.
Or passive, where they just don't give anything back, they're not bothered.
Yeah.
I think that's I've been accused of that before, and actually looking back at myself, I thought they did warrant more of my attention. I could have given them a bit more of my time, and I was just very passive towards it. So
yeah, we need to become aware of these things.
Aware,
very much so. Going back to self-love, like they say, you can't love anybody else unless you learn to love yourself, and it's cheesy, it's cliche, but it's so damn true.
It's the reason cliches exist, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's so damn true. Like, I don't know why. I don't know if there's science behind it. There probably is. I don't know the science, but I know from personal experience that. And I think what it is, I think it boils down to this, Mikey. When you love yourself fully, you don't need anybody in your life. You don't need anything in your life because you've got everything you need. You've got health. You've got confidence. You've got self-respect. You've got self-love. You don't need anything, which opens space for want. I want you in my life, or I want that in my life. Because when you need something, it's like, imagine suffocating and needing to breathe. You're trying to grasp it, you're trying to get it, and you're forcing it. Whereas want, it's more of a allowing. I'm allowing it in my life, and we're allowing it to happen rather than trying to force it to happen. Like these people that message you, try and hook me up, try and get me this, get me that. Rather,
you speaking to the wrong guy.
Well, obviously they don't have full self-love.
Yeah. Because
they need something other.
Can I ask you something on this?
Yeah, of course you can.
How do you know when there's a difference between you're feeling good in a time space or you love yourself in a time? Because I feel for a lot of my journey, I felt really good. I've managed to find a space where I'm on my own, or I've been traveling, or I'm back and I'm just on the poetry scene. I'm feeling good. I'm doing what I want to do, and then I attract other people that are feeling good, and we end up going out, but I don't think I wasn't loving myself. So eventually, like you say, it dissipated, the feelings diminished, you didn't feel the same anymore because you weren't actually loving yourself, you were just feeling good in a time, and you connected with someone else that was doing that. So the love feeling, how do you know when you love yourself?
I think you definitely, what's the word? You differentiated between the two quite nicely there yourself. You said that the good feeling, it's usually external. It's like, oh, I feel good because I'm around people. I'm feeling good because I'm in a certain scenario, or I'm at a club, or I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Or I'm waking up and I'm in a good mood because of the weather. And that diminishes, and then you're back to feeling that empty feeling.
Okay.
Now, self-love for me is just, this is what self-love is for me in a simple sentence. It's when I say to myself, and I say this regularly, like it comes into my head, like, I love the person I've become. I love the person I've created. I've created someone that's respectful, that doesn't tell lies, that, I'm hoping I don't tell lies. Even me saying that could be a potential lie, so I'm just going to get that out there. But I generally I stay away from lies.
Yeah.
I just love what I'm about.
Self-aware.
So I just love what I'm about, mate. I've created high morals. I've created a body that's healthy and physically strong. I've created a mindset that's capable of, more than I ever would have believed 10 years ago. And now I can say to myself, yeah, I love who I am. It just is. It is. Like, you feel it. You know it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I feel good every day. Some days I wake up and I'm like, I cannot be arsed today. I feel like shit. But I still know internally that I love myself.
It's a feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to articulate, but it all comes back down to when I built that moral compass up for myself, I'm my own free thinker. It feels right what I'm doing now in any situation. I can be conscious of it, aware to it, and make the right moral decision in that situation, and I'm strong on that. Just yesterday I did a talk with Chrissy. We were giving a talk to a university about making it in the music scene or the creative scene, and both of us were talking, and before I knew I'd try and speak in a way that would suit them, and I was worried about how I perceived, but we both spoke our truth yesterday. We were just going, no, this is what we think, this is what we feel. If we couldn't answer a question, we're really honest with it. And there was this constant feeling where I wasn't sketchy anymore. I wasn't worried about it. I just felt free because I was being me. Now we're going into rap, brother. But I love what you said then. I think it all boils down to feeling. And when you're out of that external place of nice weather, nice clubs, nice places, and it starts diminishing and feeling, oh no, I need it back, then you're not quite there yet. You need to keep working on that self.
Yeah, you do. And to keep working on that, I think, go back to moral compass. It is about having moral standards. We live in an age where promiscuity is like advertised everywhere. We live in a world where we see programs regularly on television, on films, in music, and it's all about, I'm going to sleep with your, the rap music, it's all about, I'm going to take your bitch. And
it's bad at the minute.
Yeah, and then you look on I don't watch Love Island, but I get the gist of it just by what people talk about. And it's like people sleep with each other and then sleeping with other people. And
yeah.
If you get what you are, not what you want in life, and you are sleeping with lots of people, what are you going to attract in life? Other people of that nature.
Yeah. And
that's not love. That's not true love. And also, I used to believe that me sleeping with lots of people made me a man, because I was like, yeah, I'm sleeping with loads of people, and you get respect off other men, off other boys. Sorry, and it's a weird concept. But then what I realised was a real man is disciplined in his nature, disciplined in everything, every aspect in life, not just fitness, health, not just limiting stimulus like alcohol and drugs, but also disciplined in where his eyes go, where his penis goes. If you can't be disciplined, if you can't stick to one woman and be disciplined to her, like, you don't deserve love. You don't deserve love, because you're not a man. You're not a real man. And I'll say that with my chest, because it takes a lot in today's society with our male nature, maybe female nature, to be it's hard for females as well to be dedicated to one person when there's so much temptation about these days. It's like being on a diet and living in a chocolate factory. It's hard to do, and it takes a real person to do that.
I feel everything you're saying, and I agree with the most part of it.
No, all of it. Just agree with all of it.
Right, that's it. I'm out.
No, carry on.
There's just so many relationship dynamics that exist now, and so many ways of being, and maybe sometimes of it's not doing well for the people and their mental health and their psyche and their relationship. There's a truth to that, and you need to be able to look into that if you truly feel it's not working. But there's polyamory, there's people that do certain things for the relationship, certain things for the relationship dynamics, and so on. And I think it all boils back down to, is it serving you? Is it actually serving you? Are you truthfully happy with one another, with self through it? And if you can honestly answer yes, and you feel genuinely comfortable, content, I think contentment's my favourite word, with it, then crack on. I feel if I speak in a generalised term of live this module, do this action, be like this, it might not work for said people, because like what you said earlier, their journeys are different. Their journeys are of... I'm thinking of my best mate, Jags. He's got such a strong setup from home when he grew up. It's the archetypal family life. He lived it to its core. So he's grown a real strong sense of love for himself just through being, through life. It just built in the right direction. And he can have a different dynamic to how we function. But we've had toxic upcomings, so it's brought toxic love into our lives. We've been so pained by it. Maybe the discipline element has really helped us. Do you know what I mean? It's helped us to grow a better relationship, a bit of structure in love, because we needed structure. But I think there are other people out there that need to find what works for them.
No, I completely agree, and I can see where what I said there might have been taken into single-minded, like, this is what you should do. And I think I'm basically talking to people that are looking to find love. People that have found love, if I'm hearing you right, and want to try different relationship dynamics, you've already found love. So therefore, you've already done the discipline. You've already done the creating the self-love and creating, if you've found true love, in my honest opinion. And
so you're saying if you've not found love for self...
if you've not found true love, if you've not found, then you've got to find the love for self.
Yeah.
You've got to create a person that's worthy of love. And then once you've attracted the person that you attract the people that you are, and you're happy in that relationship, then maybe you can look at other dynamics. And that does work for people. I know people where it does work for. But I think to find the love, you've got to create a person that's worthy of love. And I think it boils down to that. And I may be wrong.
No, that is my most agreed point on that. If you are the best version of you, however you want to showcase love and display love to other people, it's going to reciprocate in the best kind of way, because you're being your best person. And I think what you said then is the most fundamental and crucial point of what we're talking about in terms of true love. And it is, what is it on RuPaul where they say it? Darling, if you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. I've never watched the show, but I know that's a saying. And again, we turn things into cliche, and they exist for a reason. And then you can, like we're doing on this podcast now, break it down into layers and levels and say, well, this is what that actually means. And I think you've done a great job of it just then.
So now we've spoke about how to attract love. Once you've got love, once you've got a relationship, give me 2 or 3 tips what you feel is, because just like creating a healthy body and a good-looking body, it needs maintenance. Yeah, it needs maintenance. Just like if you have found love and you're in a healthy relationship, it's all nice at the start, but it does require maintenance. So have you got any tips, techniques?
Shall I say it?
Yeah.
Communication. Right, I'm going.
Yeah, boom. Yeah. Explain.
Just being open, being honest, being able to talk to one another and finding a space to do that. Me and Chrissy, our dynamic, we're lovers. We've got a relationship first. We're business partners. There's so much to our dynamic. So we need to know how to separate that. And we do. We have scheduled time in to go, right, this is business time now. We need to talk solely about what we're going to achieve, how we're going to achieve it, what sort of time schedules there are to achieve it. That's all its side self. Then the moment because we're quite self-aware people, we like to check in how we feel. And if it's not feeling good for a while, if we've had a couple of days just off, too tired, overworked, like we've got a baby at the minute, there's a lot to handle, just overwhelmed is the best word to describe it, we make sure we address it now. We just say straight up, because there's been days that we've been together 4 years now, and back in there, we'd just... we'd let it ruminate and we'd let it build and it keep building up, and then suddenly there's a snap and we goes, we're not even snappy people, where did that come from? And then we talk about it and go, oh, so you felt like this a month ago, and then I felt like this 3 weeks ago, and that build-up happened. So we made sure, we said, right, we're not going to let this amount again. We're going to, as soon as we start feeling it, let one another know, and let one another know what we can do about it. How can I help you? How can you help me? What do we need to do? So prime example, recently with the business, it got so much, and I've opened up to you about that. I was getting really overwhelmed. We just bought a whiteboard together. We sit down for an hour, do a little bit of business, write it all down on a whiteboard. I feel really empty then, because it's all in front of me. I go, all right, I'm not going to miss anything now. I'm not going to have to worry and let things build and add jobs. It's there, it's down. That really helped my psyche. I said, Chrissy, you've helped me so much in just investing in a whiteboard. Thank you so much. And then the extra half an hour, we just do a little bit of check-ins with what we're going to do with our relationship next, like where we're going to go. Have we got any Airbnbs we can go to? When we're going on holiday?
I want to jump in on what you said about the communication. It is so important to communicate, but communication can be healthy or unhealthy. Yeah. Like if for example, those that tension's built up over weeks, months, and you can communicate like this. I'm so fucking sick of you. That's communication. But it's how we communicate. It's how can I get my feelings and thoughts across without sounding like I'm attacking? So instead of going, this is what you're making me feel, you go, this is how I'm feeling. It's not necessarily related to your actions, but this is how I'm feeling, and this is something I am trying to work on. With that being said, this is kind of why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and I don't know if there's anything we can work on together. And then I like what you said at the end. I kind of overlooked this. After you've said that, how can I help you to help me? Or how can we help each other? Because what one thing I established with Chloe from the get-go, and I strongly believe that intentions and boundaries should be outlaid in every relationship, whether that's at the start or halfway through. And I said, we're a team. I said, no matter what happens, we're here to build each other up, not break each other down. And that comes back into everything. We're always a team. Whether we're a relationship, whether we're friends, we're always a team. And we communicate effectively. And what I'm trying to say is we help each other and we communicate properly, like without trying to attack each other. And
that's it. I mean, I can remember being at school, and when you're doing a class project or you're doing a group project and it starts going wrong, and then you'll just start fumbling around and, no, you need to add this here. No, do that there. No, it always works best when you go, right, stop. What we're doing wrong? What's going on? Let's be rational. Let's be reasonable about this. What's happening? And I always equate it to sort of back in the day, because I was a nutter at school. So just throwing stuff around, taking that step back, not being involved inside of the situation, both having a bit of a third party look from it. But another thing what I think is important about communication is you can overdo it as well. You can over communicate and it perpetuates the problem, because then when you've had your chat, you need to know when to let that settle and work on what you've just said, because you can carry it on. And that's something we did for when we started doing this, for 3 to 4 to 5 days after. What about this? Yeah, but do you want this? And you go on spins and cycles, and it's just say a few things, have a few ideas to put together, and then start working on them, actualize them things and see if it works. And just know it's building blocks, it's a process. It doesn't need to all be worked out then and there to make this godlike experience. Just allow it to keep growing and build, and it works if you allow it to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So communication. Is there any other things you could think of that help to maintain a healthy relationship?
I am very into intimacy and just expressing that. Chrissy is very into being held and touched and just given what she needs again. So she knows that's a part of who she is. So I'll just out of the blue go and give her a cuddle, or go and just tap a bum.
You do the same to me.
I know that's definitely a part of her. And I heard, I don't know how true this is either, but somebody on my podcast recently spoke about love languages, and everyone's got a different love language. And if you know what yours is, then if you can express that to your partner, it will bring a real beautiful dynamic into your relationship. And And when we looked at these love languages together, just to see what was cracking off, both of ours resembled to touch. It was a strong force for us. We both resembled to a lot of what it was saying. So yeah, we've added that more into our dynamic, and that works really well.
Okay, yeah, I like what you know. What I can relate to there is giving the other person their needs. I've always been quite a selfish human being. I know that's a trait of myself that I do actively work on every single day, because it always creeps back. And I was always like, I don't like to be touched. I don't like to cuddle. I don't like to do this. I wasn't taking into consideration anybody else. It was like, well, what do they want? Maybe they want some love. Maybe they want to cuddle. And now I'm actively, and the funny thing is by actively forcing myself into cuddling, knowing that it's because Chloe wants it, I actually start to enjoy it more. So I was telling myself this narrative and this story that I don't like to be touched and I don't like cuddles. And it was actually just myth. It was false. I was telling myself a tale that I was living by.
You built yourself an identity.
Yeah. Okay, and as soon as I start cuddling, it's like I'm enjoying it, and I start to become more touchy and less sensitive.
I like that saying, be careful of the stories you tell yourself, because you might live them. And do that's
sorry, Mikey, but speaking of stories, this is another thing, and I don't know if anybody else does this or if you've ever done this. I told myself for years that relationships were unnatural and unhealthy, and there was no such thing as love, because obviously I hadn't ever seen it. And I think it was coming onto this podcast and meeting a friend called Jono, being around you again, and being around Jono. You both had established healthy relationships where you actually loved each other. And I'm seeing it and I'm like, oh, so there is such thing as healthy relationships. And I'm starting to see them. And then when you see them, you're influenced by them, and you understand that you can then go out and create these yourself. And so you was a huge part in...
Because something you said at the start of this podcast about where your unhealthy relationships to love come from, the one thing I enjoy about you is you've actually not just gone back and gone, where have I built this from, but you've made amendment with it. You've gone to your mum and had them conversations, which I'm guessing were very tricky at the time, but she gave you a little bit of a breakdown of where her pain had come from, why she grew toxic to love, and why she expressed that into you. And yeah, 19 is no age to be a complete self yet, is it?
No.
So how did you approach them conversations?
With open-heartedness, and same thing I approach all conversations, no judgment and open-heartedness. And a lot of the time we find that we're trying to hold things in because we feel we might either embarrass ourselves or offend the other. So when you go to if I have a conversation with you, I will first of all open up to you about something that might be embarrassing or might be offensive towards myself, or something. Just open up to you, because then therefore, because I've opened up, I've leveled the playing field, ready for you to speak your truth. And when you speak your truth, is I react without judgment. I don't go, oh,
you dirty bastard.
I go, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's fine. Let the person know that it's fine, because it is fine. There is nothing on this earth that can't be fixed, sorted, overcame. And so.
Did you find it very healing having that conversation?
Yeah, definitely. Me and Mum have had lots of conversations, and I like to have these conversations. Same thing when I first came to you and we started the podcast. I said, look, Mikey, I'm going to be honest with you. I always thought you was a bit disrespectful because of the lack of communication. I understand now that you're busy. It was never a you thing, it was a me thing. And then we had the conversation, and look where we are now.
In love.
Yeah. Sometimes these conversations can be tricky.
Yeah.
They can feel initially tricky, but once you get into them, you just feel lighter.
I just think that's such a great part of this chat, because there's so much unconscious activity in people and unknowing about, if you can just start searching a little bit deeper and further back and facing those demons and having these conversations and being daring and open, like you said, you're going to really transform your future. You're going to really transform your now if you can go back and do that. And yeah, even myself, I think I could go a bit further in about, I've been to therapy, I've understood my lack of love as a child and where it stemmed from and why it stemmed from, but actually facing up to it and going, what happened? Why did you feel this way, and what happened in your history? I'll learn from that, mate. And that's,
because we've said on the podcast before, you have to understand to overcome.
Yeah.
You have to understand to overcome.
Yeah.
So, Mikey, how do you know when you've found true love? And is there such thing as a true love?
Mate, I think it all boils down to what we've been talking about, mate. It's just a feeling. There's nothing else to... I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but you know, when somebody's not tasted honey before, you taste it and you try and explain it, you go, it's a sticky, it's a gooey, sweet... A gooey, sweet, sticky thing, and you can't put it in. But what you do is go get in the pot, taste that. That's what honey tastes like. And for me, it's this really powerful feeling, but it comes into contentment. It's not just overbearing, infatuation, lustful. Oh, I've got to get in there. It comes to this warm, glowing. Do you know what? I want this. This is what I want now.
I want to try and break it down. I like breaking things down.
Yeah, let's go.
So I think, for me, true love is when you're able to be yourself, but also you're able to let the other person be themselves without judgment.
Yeah.
And just accept them wholly. And now there's parts of that where it's a natural accepting. It's like the things that, say Chloe, the things that Chloe does that usually would annoy me with other people, I actually find them cute and attractive. So I know that's a big part of love for me. But also is knowing that I think I'm going off here, and also so choosing to accept as well. Like there's times when there's things that irritate me, but I choose to accept. I choose to let it go because I love it. I'm choosing to love it. I think love can also, even though we're saying it's a feeling and it's always there, and I think it's also a choice. You choose to love somebody for the rest of your life, or you're choosing this person, because there's times when I could have easily gone, no, sorry, we had a bit of a discrepancy when we first started seeing each other, and there was a little porky told on Chloe's behalf, and I switched off completely. My emotions switched off. I was like, ooh, I don't do lies, and I told her that, and I didn't get angry. I just communicated my feelings. But we had a conversation. She explained herself. I felt like she was resonating from the heart, and she was telling the truth, and that made me more attracted to her, because she'd kind of acknowledged what she'd done wrong, and we'd spoke about it. It was really, and then I chose to carry on loving her, and then after that choice, the love naturally grew back. So I think sometimes, even though it's a feeling and it's always there, and it's like wow, it's also I'm making a decision to stay with this person.
That's strong, man. I like the two words, the choice and the acceptance, because again, in our relationship, we felt we had to match up and synchronize in every way. If it's party time, we both want to party together. If it's quiet time, we both want to just quiet together. And actually, we've grown a thing recently where we realized sometimes we're out of sync. That's absolutely normal. That's absolutely fine, because we're both our own people. What I see a lot of people doing when they get in relationships and it becomes toxic is that yin and yang. They've completed me. They've brought me this half together. And what we've all been talking about on this podcast is no, be your own yin and yang, be your own full self, match up with another full self, and then have this harmonious time together in your space. But what we did do for a part of a relationship was thinking we had to be in constant flow, in constant match. But now we go, no, remember, you like doing your own thing a bit. I like doing my own thing a bit. I've got all these traits and personalities about me, sides of me that I express, and sometimes it's not going to be intertwined. That's absolutely fine. And the word acceptance of what you used, we fully accept it. We go, cool. Go do it. Go get your kick. Go see your mates at the football. Do your thing.
Because we have a tendency to want to control the other person, or just everything. We want to control things.
Yeah.
And if, let's say, you're going to football, I'm Chrissy, and I feel like I don't want Mikey to go to football. Well, that's not a Mikey problem. That's a me problem, a Chrissy problem, or a Zak problem. Because I'm trying to force my wants onto your lifestyle. Like, I don't want you to go to football. I want you to stay with me.
Yeah.
But that's not how life works. It's like, okay, I accept that you want to do that. I don't feel like I want you to go, but that's not, I'll deal with that problem. You go and enjoy yourself.
Chrissy is the most understanding person and the most accepting and allowing. She just said, do your thing. And I think I I watched this video. It's a 2-minute video. I'll send it over to you. And it's the 5 natural emotions. And saying left repressed, all of them turn to an ugly emotion. So fear is natural. We run away from the saber-toothed tiger. But left repressed, it turns to panic. But when it got to love, which is our strongest emotion, if fully lived and fully embodied and fully allowed, love is gonna completely build this most what would you say, like godlike experience for yourself,
like a beautiful flower bed.
Yeah, but left repressed. So if you don't allow yourself to feel love, it turns to possessiveness. That's the ugly side of love. And I've definitely, what you just said then, felt that before inside of myself. And I think Chrissy chooses to fully feel love, allow love. She wants to love, and she lets me be who I am completely because of that.
And I guess at the same time you return the favour by just letting Chrissy be Chrissy.
Exactly. And I'm so lucky with who Chrissy is, and I choose to want to love that.
But you're not, this is the thing, you're not lucky. Like me and Chloe always say each other, and I feel lucky to have
You're
Chloe.
right.
You're not lucky, you've earned it.
Yeah.
You've earned it as a person. You used to be like I used to be, not the greatest person.
Dirtbag.
And yeah, well, we could say that. I mean, I could definitely say it about myself. I wouldn't say it about you. That's for you to decide.
Definitely.
But we have put in hours and hours of self-work, self-development, discipline, and yeah, we fuck up at times, man. People do. But we've earned the right to have beautiful women, not just physically beautiful, but emotionally, spiritually. We've earned the right. And it goes back to self-work, it goes back to self-love, it goes back to self-development and becoming the person you want to date. It's just simple.
I think, again, as well, it's just being free, being so free to be yourself, because I go around so many different types of people, and I really enjoy that because I get to sort of not psychoanalyze everywhere I go, but just experience what other people are like. And if you just stick to one particular tribe, you build up this kind of understanding this is what people are. But I've been moving circles recently, and I forget how sort of opposite people can act. And some, you know, there's all that stigma, and if you show emotion, if you show a part of yourself, oh, bloody gay, aren't you? I went out with the football lads recently. I got a G&T, and everyone's like jeering on and doing that sort of, you know, pack mentality stuff, and you just think, how are your relationships, lads? How's your life? And when you get them drunk and they're having a bit of a chat with you, you go, right, okay, so all this facade, this act that you're putting on, it's not serving you.
Well, you must find, like I find, that because we are emotional men and we allow that to be, because I don't care. I really don't care. There's a way you can deal with that. I'll tell you in a minute. But you find that people come to you and express their emotions to you because they feel it's a safe place.
Yeah, when they've let the guards down. And drink can sometimes do that.
Voice went then. I let people know it's perfectly fine to feel emotions. Like I cry sometimes, not regularly. I'm a man. But then I cry. But I think the good way you can get around it is just get massive and then show emotion and let people know that you can be big, masculine, confident, but still have an emotional side, and it's all healthy. There's a certain level of emotion. Like I used to be over emotional. I cry at everything.
Yeah.
And there is a certain level where, but no, it's healthy for men to feel and to just express who they want to be.
Amen, brother.
Amen. I think that's everything. I think we've got through everything today.
We smashed the podcast start, didn't we, brother?
Yeah, man.
Another one.
True love. By the way, true love. I do love the facial hair, mate.
Yeah?
I like it as it is, yeah. I think you've got it just the right level. It gives you a sense of authority and makes me feel like I'm talking to a real man.
Oh, okay, right. That's it. You're gonna. But what about a bit longer? Keep going, or?
I liked it when it was long.
Yeah,
you get a really full beard, so it's up to you.
Great, that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's all up to me. I think I'll let it get to the itchy stage, and as soon as it does that, I'll find the blade that fits the itchy stage and just keep it at that.
If it depends, if you want to keep going and you want to get through the itchy, just get like a beard, a skin moisturizer. It's just dry skin usually under the. Just give it a moisturize. Beard oil's good as well, and it'll stop itching.
Guys, if you've learned anything today, take that away with you. That's the most important part.
Thank you for listening, guys. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, send us messages, send us questions. We like to answer questions and we'll answer them on the podcast. So thank you for listening all the way through, guys.
We've been Words and Wisdom. Woo.